Now let's go to the second part of our discussion, which is around your strategy, traders line, indicators. Very excited for this one as well. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so over at TraderLion, what we basically done is developed overall, I think 5 different indicators that people can use for free over on TradingView, which is a charting platform. I'm sure everybody's pretty much familiar with it. And a lot of these are catered towards, swing trading, position trading, but really I think they can be applied to any style. And as I mentioned, they're completely free. You can find them over here on our website, traderlion.com/tradingview scripts. Or if you just Google search TraderLion TradingView scripts, I'm sure you'll be able to find a link that way as well. Today we're mostly going to talk about the relative strength line as well as the enhanced volume. I know that's a favorite of yours, so we'll definitely talk about that. But we've also got a few others like the TradingView key moving averages, which is basically using it's basically a trend indicator using different moving averages, and then reversal bars identifies kind of key turning points in a stock as well. So we can talk about them theoretically, but I think the best way to explain them is actually to look at a stock. So let's go ahead over to TradingView and talk through them. And this will take me just a moment here. Let me know if you can see this all right.
Yes, I can see the chart.
Yeah, so this is M_M. I'm not super familiar with the Indian stocks.
Mahindra and Mahindra. I'll give you a briefing about all the stocks. And thank you so much for taking Indian stocks as examples to understand it properly. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I think, are they an auto manufacturer? Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So very cool. It's cool to look at their stocks because they're different, but of course they trade the exact same way because it's human psychology. So getting into the indicators. I'll hide this for now and we'll just talk about the relative strength lines.
So, if you can also, if you don't mind, can we start from the beginning where we show them how to insert this indicator?
Yes, I was about to cover that. So in order to just get these TradingView indicators, what you want to do is go up here to indicators and you want to search for TraderLion, and that will bring up a bunch of different options. Here are the community scripts. You've got TraderLion's relative strength line, enhanced volume, reversal bars, price labels, and then those moving averages that I talked about previously. So we're going to focus on primarily is relative strength line and enhanced volume. And once you decide which one you want, you just basically click it. It would be added to your chart, and then you could reorganize it, move it however you wish. I've already got mine set up here, and I'll X this one out right here. So this is the relative strength line here. I've also got a plot of the Nifty behind it. So you can kind of see how the index was performing over time as well. And what this line is basically a representation of whatever stock you're looking at and how it's performing versus this index that you're referring to. And quickly, I think it's important to mention when you add it, you want to make sure that you calculate the relative strength versus.
Richard, sorry to bother you, but is it possible that we zoom in? Because the text size is very, very small.
Yes.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, this is better.
Is this better?
Can we increase one more if you don't mind?
Yep.
Yeah, this is better. This is perfect.
That's a lot better. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it from the start here. And it's also important when you add that relative strength line to your chart to go over to the settings. And if you're trading the Indian market, you want to make sure that it's calculating this relative strength line versus the Nifty or whatever index you'd prefer. So that's pretty critical. Otherwise, you'll be calculating it versus a US index, which might not make sense for that stock. You can also change different values down here, but let's go ahead and talk through what the actual indicator is. So the way this line is calculated at any single point is it basically just takes the price of the stock and divides it by the price of the index at that point. And then you can use the line to compare to how it's performing, at another point where you do the same thing. You calculate the line by dividing the price divided by the index. And based on how this line is moving, the stock is either outperforming the index or underperforming. If this line is an uptrend, that means that over that sample size, over that period, the stock is outperforming, and that's when we want to be involved. Or during a period where, back in this area, the market was actually outperforming the stock, And that's when we want to kind of leave it alone and look for other opportunities or just be back in cash. So here you can see that at this point, we start a new uptrend. And if we go to this point on the chart and just do, a little measurement here, at this point, we're up 67% from when we start that relative strength uptrend. And that's awesome. So I always want to see that we're in a relative strength uptrend, and then I want to look for opportunities within the individual stock itself. So any questions or follow-up questions or things?
Yes, one question. The line below the relative strength line, which is the parallel line. Yeah, this one. Is it a smoothing line? Is it a moving average or something?
Yeah, exactly. So if you go back to the settings, I believe it's a 21 EMA on the relative strength line. And that's basically how we determine whether it's in an uptrend or downtrend. If it's above or rising 21, we're in an uptrend. If we're below it, then we're in a downtrend. So great question.
Okay. And any specific reason why you have taken 21?
So the 21 EMA is something that I really find helpful for my time frame. It's a great kind of intermediate trend tool. Often stocks will start their uptrend by retaking it, and then they'll kind of hold that until the next downtrend. So it's just something it's a good reference point. It's about a month's worth of price action as well. But specifically if you're using a 20 versus a 21 versus a 23, it doesn't really matter too much. It's just about having a reference point for that current trend.
Sure. Got it. Yeah. And the same 21 you're going to use on price action as well to figure out whether the trend is continuing or not?
Yeah, exactly. So on my charts, what I have set up is a 21 EMA in green here, a 50 simple in blue, which a lot of people use, and then a 200-day simple in black here, which a lot of people use as well. So these are kind of the three main moving averages I use in my trading.
Sure. So this is an indicator which helps us, gives us an indicative view about that stock. Now, how do we convert this into a strategy? Like, what should be my process to enter and exit?
Yeah, great question. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying about looking for a stock that is in a relative strength uptrend. Yeah. What we want to do is when a stock is correcting and when the market is correcting, we want to be finding those stocks that are outperforming the market, that are being accumulated, that are being supported by mutual funds, hedge funds, all of those. So they're taking advantage of that market weakness to build their positions in stocks that they find really promising. And what happens with these stocks that are being accumulated is that we'll start to see evidence of that on the chart in that relative strength line. So the relative strength line might be in an uptrend, even when the stock is in a downtrend, because that stock is outperforming the market so much because of that support. So how to convert this into a strategy? Very simply, look for signs in the relative strength line that the stock is outperforming the market, meaning we're above that moving average. This pink dot here as well means that the relative strength line is making a new high before price. If we take a look at this point on the chart, you can see that the relative strength line is making a new high versus this peak, while the price is still well below this prior peak. So that's showing you that the stock is really outperforming because the relative strength line is leading the price action higher. So I always really want to look for this right before a potential breakout in a stock. Then on the flip side, on the sell side, you want to basically follow that trend until the relative strength line starts declining or the overall stock starts breaking down a little bit. So, looking at this period, during here, we're kind of consolidating. We break below the moving average a few times. The moving average in general is flattening overall. And then here we really start a trend downwards. So since kind of this period here, you'd be kind of looking for an exit point because the trend has kind of changed a little bit. It's not broken completely, but it's not quite as powerful as this right here. So that's what I would kind of say.
Fair point. I think when we take more examples, this concept will be further clearer.